So let me tell you, before I get into my training, I always think it's kind of interesting to know people's story. You're not here to hear my story, but I want to share it with you anyway. There's some new people on here that maybe don't know it, so I'm just going to give you a very quick version of it, and then we're going to get into the training. Look, I'm originally from Ireland. I graduated with a degree in international finance from Queen's University, Belfast. Graduated top of my class. Not saying that to boast or brag, but basically I was in a position to walk into any career in the world of finance I wanted to. And this is where I met my beautiful wife, Tanya. And many people say, gosh, Alan, that's 1992. She hasn't changed a bit. And you're barely recognizable. You know, what happened? Well, there you go. You know, I drew the short straw. But here's the deal. I found myself to be psychologically unemployable. I didn't want a job. I didn't want to clock in and clock out for the next 40 years. Just not what I wanted to do. And this little picture, I'm sure everybody's heard of Guinness. I'm sure it's a favorite drink down under. This was where my first and only job interview in my life took place, was in Guinness. And I remember going down to Guinness and kind of being in the belly of the beast when I realized that I was totally psychologically unemployable. I started sweating. I thought I was going to throw up. The thought of the next 40 years being told what to do, maybe living in a little cubicle, like a little box, like a little mouse running around a maze. I mean, I panicked. I just didn't want any part of that. And I did not know what I wanted to do with myself. Now, this little picture was taken. I think it kind of symbolizes freedom. I'm just photobombing Chuck and Tammy Gates, some of our top earners here in the States. I'm photobombing their picture outside the Guinness Brewery in Dublin. But this is where I realized I was psychologically unemployable. And freedom is the single most important word to me. I don't have any tattoos, but if I ever get a tattoo, it will say freedom. Probably not in English. It'll look more exotic in Thai or Chinese or something, but it'll say freedom. That's the single most important word for me. So I put on a backpack and I started traveling down the length of Africa, 22 countries, 17,500 miles. I saw some pretty amazing things, okay? I sat with the mountain gorillas. No funny remarks, Dan. The mountain gorillas on the right, okay? I trekked through the jungles with the pygmies, climbed Table Mountain in Cape Town, microlighted over Victoria Falls. I mean, did some pretty cool things, trying to find myself. What do I want to do with myself? And the truth is, I came back more confused than ever. And so I started a master's in finance. I love this. Keep calm and get a master's degree. I got on the academic treadmill. I kind of postponed real life for a little bit longer. But it was right when I started that degree, that master's degree, that I stumbled on this little book, The Boom Business of the 90s. This little 96-page book changed the direction of my life. This little book introduced me to the power of network marketing. It introduced me to the power of leveraged income and global income and residual income. And I realized at that moment that the network marketing that my degree was not teaching me how to become wealthy. My degree was teaching me how to look after other people's wealth. And yet here's a little 96-page book that, as far as I'm concerned, at 23 years of age, is literally unlocking the secrets of wealth through this business model. And I was hooked. That was it. I fell in love with the business model. But I'm going to fast forward, okay, go really quickly here, guys. By about the year 2000, I loved the business model, but I could not find my home, okay? It's kind of figuring out you like girls, but you can't find the one you want to say till death do us part, okay? And so the challenge was around the year 2000, it was just this Me Too, same old of products. There was nothing new. It was just a regurgitation of just stuff that had been around forever. The exotic juice industry, there were 82 products, 82 exotic juices in network marketing. And to me, it had become a circus, just an absolute circus. And so I was looking for two things. I was looking for an exceptional, unique product, and I was looking for a company that I could trust. Couldn't find it. And then in May 2009, everything changed. And I heard the words redox signaling molecules. I was looking for a product for my dad, had some health challenges. And within 5 days of starting a search for him, I heard about these molecules. I flew to Salt Lake City, met Vertus Norton, met a team of scientists. They opened this whole world of redox signaling. They opened this whole world of ASEA, and it was love at first sight. I got it. I was hooked. And I'd said, this is my tribe. This is what I want to do with my life. And the rest, as they say, is history. My anniversary will be 12 years coming up in about 2 weeks' time. And it's just been the most incredible 12 years of my life. If your journey in ASEA is only a fraction of what I have got to experience, this is going to be an amazing home for you. But the truth is, there's no reason why your journey can't be a lot more than I've experienced, because where we're going with this company is much, much bigger than where we've been. What we're about to achieve is going to make the past look like we're standing still. So you are here at the right time. Okay, how do we take advantage of this opportunity? How do we turn this opportunity that Virtus created, that Tyler has picked up and run with? How do we take it so that you can experience success? I really get passionate about this subject of prospecting, and I'll explain all what it is. And the goal here is to give you 12 very clear tips to help you become a professional in this really important area. You know, when Tyler shared that poem about the first steps, very often those first steps are just picking up the phone and connecting with somebody. This process of connecting and inviting somebody to learn more about ASEA, that is prospecting. And prospecting is the $1 million skill. If you want to be successful in this business, if you want to build a successful network marketing business, then you've got to master this $1 million skill, okay? Every professional understands what they are getting paid for. Every professional knows their job description. The dentist knows they get paid to look after your teeth. The chef knows they get paid to prepare the meal. The pilot knows they get paid to fly the plane. Now, what if the pilot was a little confused and thought maybe their job was to put the luggage on the plane, and the guys putting the bags on the plane, maybe they could fly it? I think there would be mayhem in the skies. Nobody would be flying on the planes, okay? But the pilot knows his job is to fly the plane, or her job is to fly the plane. So what's our job? What is our absolute most basic job description in ASEA? It is to contact and invite people to learn about the huge ASEA breakthrough and ASEA financial opportunity. It's that simple. That's our job description. Now, this is called prospecting. Prospecting is the art of contacting and inviting. So the next question is, well, who am I going to talk to? You see, if people don't know that you're in business, then you're really not in business. You're only pretending. I like to use the example of like a sandwich franchise. I think you've got them in Australia. I'm not sure, like a Subway franchise making sandwiches. And what if they blackened out the windows and took the signage off the door and it just looked like an empty lot? Now, they could be inside making great sandwiches. They could be inside making world-class sandwiches with world-class ingredients. But if you don't know they're in business, they're not in business. So I'm going to say to you, if people don't know that you are in business, then you're not in business. You're kind of just pretending. And so just because you have an associate ID number, or you have a Team ASEA website, or you've got a virtual office, or hey, maybe you've got a big enrollment pack, maybe an entrepreneur pack that arrived on your door and you're using the products, well, that's great, but you're actually still not in business. People don't know you're in business. I mean, you're not in business until people know that you are in business. So who are you going to tell that you're in business? Who are you going to tell that you're now an ASEA associate representing this technology and opportunity? I'm going to say it like this. Who are you going to invite into the funnel? And I'll get to that in the very first tip. Now, we encourage you to write down your top 25, your top 50, your top 100 people, sometimes 200, 300 people. I think that sometimes gets overwhelming. So start where you can begin, okay? Start close in, top 25, top 50, top 100. Your buddies, your friends, your family, your neighbors, your coworkers, okay? That's a good group to start with. Then your product potential interest. Who do you know is health challenged? Who do you know is health minded? I'm health-minded. I'm very interested in health. I've been investing into my health for a very long time, but I don't have any health challenges. But if you come to me with a cutting-edge breakthrough technology that the world's never seen before, you might well have my interest, okay? So don't think it's just about sick people. Health professionals, people who have an influence over other people's health. Who do you know is an athlete or coach? Who do you know likes younger looking skin, who would like to slow down the aging process? You know, very interesting, the power of words. I've done many presentations around the world in front of a live audience, and I would often ask questions to engage the audience and say, hey, who would like to look younger? And it's interesting, not that many hands would go up. But when I changed the question to, how would you like to slow down the aging process? Every hand went up. Okay. See, some of us, have reached perfection. We don't want to look any younger, but we'd like to stay here as long as we can. We'd like to slow down the aging process. So I find that to be a very important question. How would you like to slow down the aging process versus than just looking younger? Who do we know has got skin challenges? Could be as we age, these weird things that pop up in our face, or in teenage kids, redness and irritation. Every teenage kid deserves to know about this technology. Okay, so these are just categories to think of, to start thinking, okay, who do I know in these categories? Potential business interest. Who do people that don't like their jobs? Well, they're 70-80% of the world. Full commission sales reps, people who are used to going out and hunting for their dinner. They're not in a cushy get paid whether you do anything or not job, but they're actually used to full sales commissions. What about entrepreneurs and business owners? These are some of our best prospects, people who understand business, people who understand multiple streams of income, people of credibility and influence. So when they pick up the phone and say, listen, I've stumbled on something that you deserve to know about, people listen. Okay, our entire business can be fast-tracked with credibility and influence. And then really my favorite category are network marketers, people that have played the game before. Who do you know that's played the game before? There's a lot of wounded warriors out there. I was one of them, loved the business model, but couldn't find my home in the business model. And I love approaching network marketers with, hey, if something really unique and exceptional came across your desk in network marketing, would you be able to take in a look at it? Or are you 100% emotionally attached to what you're currently doing? Now, I'm kind of getting ahead of myself. That's a great prospecting question for a network marketer. But these are some of the people. Now, look, if you just picked like 2 people out of each of these sections, you've got like 30 people to talk to. If you could pick 4, you got 60 people to talk to, okay? So it's not that hard to start to build up the list. So this is just one way. There's lots and lots and lots of ways to start thinking, who am I going to talk to? But I like to think of it around kind of the subject matter. Okay. Let's get into our 12 tips. So we talk about this list, who we're going to talk to, and I like to call it the suspect pool. These are people we don't know if they're going to say yes or no to us. We have no idea. They're just names on a list. But this is a living list that we're going to be taking people away from by taking them through the funnel, and we're going to be adding people to the list. And our first job is to move people from a suspect pool into a prospect pool, okay? And we do this by prospecting. Now, when you think about the funnel, we don't move product in this business, we move people. We're moving people through an information gathering process. In fact, I really consider with a C, it's like an educational process. So it's this idea, we're moving them through an educational funnel, sharing information that they've never heard of before, and they'll come out the other end and go, no, I'm not interested. Or, hey, yeah, that sounds really cool. I'd like to try the product. Or, yeah, I catch the vision for what you're doing, and they become an associate. And our associates, we simply teach them to do the same thing, to get their suspect pool and to prospect and develop these prospects. So the very first tip I have for you is this: no one in the funnel, no one out of the funnel. Some in the funnel, some out of the funnel. Lots in the funnel, lots out of the funnel. It really is a mathematical game, okay? If you want to speed up your success, talk to more people. And one of the biggest mistakes people make in network marketing is they say way too much to way too few people. We've got to learn to say less to more, okay? So in this training, these prospecting tips, the prospecting is moving someone from your suspect list into your prospect funnel. That's the art of prospecting, okay? So this is tip number one, very simple. Tip number two, prospecting is sifting and sorting. Prospecting is sifting and sorting, looking for people who want what we have, who resonate with what we have. It's not convincing and selling people that they need what you have. We're not in the convincing and selling game, okay? Now, I've got three ways of explaining this. Number one, imagine the old timer up in the hills of California, and he's there with his gold pan, sifting and sorting. He's putting the dirt, the rocks, the mud into the gold pan, and he's sifting and sorting. What's he looking for? His little gold nuggets. But what if he picks up a piece of rock and he tries to convince the rock and himself that that's a gold nugget? Well, I think this old timer is going to go a little crazy, okay? He's just sifting and sorting, and he knows when he finds that gold nugget. He'll set it aside and put it in a little gold pouch, okay? My favorite example is actually the flight attendant walking down the plane. The flight attendant has its peanuts and pretzels and soft drinks and tea and coffee, and basically starts at the front of the plane going, hey, do you want tea? Do you want coffee? Do you want a soft drink? And talks to row 1A and 1B and 1C and 1D and then 2A and 2B. The flight attendant doesn't care whether you say yes or no. The flight attendant is simply sifting and sorting, looking for the people who say, yeah, I'd like some tea, please. The flight attendant is looking for people who want what they have. Another example, you're going fishing. Now, you've got great bait on the end of your hook. And you've got the bait of better health, better athletic performance, younger, healthier looking skin, and a bigger bank account. That's the bait. That's what we have to offer. And you're throwing that line into the water. You're casting the line into the water with this great bait. And you're not trying to convince the fish they're hungry. You're looking for the hungry fish. Guys, when you go out into the marketplace, in one of Tyler's training where he talked about next level marketing, you want to focus more on being convicted yourself than simply convincing. Work on being convicted. So when you speak, well, I'll get to this actually in a tip, that people, they hear your excitement, okay? They get it. And you're looking for people who resonate with your story. I love this idea that you really can't say the wrong thing to the right person. That there are people out there ready to hear the ASEA story. And so tip number three is don't get emotionally attached to the outcome. You know, when you talk to people, some will say yes. They'll get it very, very quickly. I was a red apple, okay? I got it. I sat down with Virtus. It made sense to me. Signaling, our body needs to signal. My house is on fire. I call the fire department. I got a cell phone. If the cell phone's not working, the fire department doesn't get the message. To me, it was a no-brainer. I don't find this very complicated. Signaling is absolutely foundational and critical in the body. I got it. And now we have signaling in a supplement. That's huge. Okay, I got it. The network marketing business model, I got it day one from a 96-page book. I was a red apple. I was ready to go. The green apples, you're going to find people that are a little bit more skeptical. They don't trust their intuition. Because they don't trust their intuition, they have to keep asking more and more and more questions. And sometimes they ripen into red apples and are ready to go. And sometimes they stay a little green, but it's okay. We answer their questions. We provide more information. And then we have the rotten apples, and they say no. No, I don't mean rotten people. The greatest respect you can give somebody is respecting their agency to choose, okay? But occasionally you find this guy. Occasionally, anybody run into this guy? You know, put a 7 in the chat or something if you run into this guy. Oh, that's one of those things. Or that's just a bottle of salt water. I mean, sometimes you bump into them. And here's the deal, guys. You can't get caught up in that. You just can't get caught up in it. You see, if you get too excited with people's potential. They're going to tell you, hey, I'm going to build this massive business. Let's say I recruited Danny Doyle, and Danny's like this superstar entrepreneur, and he's got global contacts all over the world, and he's just joined me in the business, and I'm so excited. I'm way up here on this emotional roller coaster. I'm like picking out a speedboat, a new Lamborghini, a condo on the beach. It's like Danny's telling me, Alan, you're retired. I've got this. I got this. Well, then I'm telling Danny about this call here today. I'm telling Danny about this training with Tyler, and he's not picking up his phone. And then I'm trying to contact him. Then I notice his autoship is canceled. I can't get hold of Danny. It's like he's gone into the witness protection program. Where's he gone? And then I find out Danny's actually joined and going building with another network marketing company. Now, because I was way up here, now where am I going? I got a long way to fall. I'm way down here. Okay. Guys, I'm telling you, in this business, you gotta bring your highs down a little bit, and you got to bring your lows up a little bit. Now, we're not robots, but we got to enjoy the kiddie ride. You see, if you don't, it's going to be like slamming your foot in the accelerator, then the brake, then the accelerator, then the brake, then the accelerator, then the brake, and you're gonna blow your mind. It's like blowing the engine up in your car, and you're gonna quit. You're gonna overpower yourself emotionally. So let me give you a little word of advice. Don't fall in love with people's potential. Don't fall in love with what they say they're going to do. Let their words speak, let their actions speak so loudly that you cannot hear what they say. Okay? So don't try and change people's color. Don't get emotionally attached to the outcome. Stay engaged in the process. The flight attendant never gets worked up on whether you say yes or no to the tea or coffee. They just keep asking. They know their job is to simply sift and sort. Not everybody on the plane likes tea or coffee. I don't drink tea or coffee. Okay? Not everybody's going to say yes, but they don't care. Their job is to simply ask every single person on the plane. Then get to the back of the plane, put their feet up, and play Angry Birds on their phone, or whatever the popular game is today. Okay? That's it, guys. Now, these two tips are so important: sifting and sorting, and not getting emotionally attached to the outcome. And our goal, guys, just as the flight attendant, is to go out there into the marketplace, being convicted ourselves, knowing that we are bringing something of exceptional value, the biggest health breakthrough this industry has ever seen, ever. And this remarkable opportunity with a company with true ethos and principles and a sense of purpose, where we're changing people's lives around the world. And we're just going to simply go out there and share our message, and it will resonate with the right people. It's okay if people don't buy your story, but don't start buying their story. Just keep going. It's like going into the orchard. And guys, your job is to shake the tree. There is plenty of low-hanging fruit out there. Just shake the tree. You don't have to get the step ladders out, climb to the top, get a big long stick and tie a saw onto the end of it and try and get the really difficult fruit in the top of the tree. Just keep shaking the tree. I'm telling you, there's millions and millions and tens of millions of people, hundreds of millions of people who will resonate with this message. Okay? It's not everybody, but there's enough for you to be incredibly successful in this business. Tip number 4 is ask questions. This is something I say almost every single day as I'm working with associates around the world. The quality of your business will be based on the quality of your questions, okay? You want to get really good at asking questions. And in prospecting, if we want to sift and sort, we do that by asking questions. Now, it could be making a statement to build curiosity and then asking a question. So something like, look, hey, Glenn, there's been a huge breakthrough in the world of health and wellness, and everybody I love and care about, or I could say, listen, I've made it a mission of mine that every single person I love and care about knows about this huge health breakthrough. Now, look, what you do with it is totally up to you. There's the indifference. But if I sent you a short 7-minute video, would you check it out? There's the question, okay? Another simple question. Hey, Glenn, is living in a healthy, vibrant body important for you? There's a simple opening question. Now, I've asked that question to a lot of people, and believe it or not, I've had some people say, no. Now, do you think they're right for my business? No. Am I going to change my story to resonate with them? No. They're not my audience. They don't like tea and coffee. They're not a hungry fish. It's okay to say no. I did a training once called Not Everyone's Ready for Redox. It was probably one of the most important trainings I did. Now you're asking, well, hold on a second. If it's that important, why are you not doing it here? So I probably shouldn't have said that. But it's based on these principles, guys. Not everybody's ready for redox. Not everybody believes their health is their greatest wealth. Not everybody believes in investing into their health. See, I'm not looking for people who think that their health is their doctor's responsibility. I'm not looking for people who believe their health is their government's responsibility. I'm looking for self-motivated, self-responsible human beings. I'm looking for people who believe their health is their responsibility and it's their responsibility to invest into it. Now, when I find somebody that's there, bringing them to ASEA is a joy. It's fun. It's only a small step. But if somebody's way down here and they lack all self-responsibility, I'm way too lazy or way too smart, you figure it out, to bring them up here. That's going to take way too much time and effort, too much convincing. I don't have time for that. Not when there are millions and millions of people here ready for this message. I just need to go find them. Okay. So you ask these questions that allows you to sift and sort, looking for the people that can resonate with what you have. In business, hey, listen, Glenn, if there was an opportunity to create a significant residual income by taking advantage of a huge breakthrough in health and wellness, would you want to know about it? Simple question. Okay. So questions are very, very powerful. Now, along with the question, tip number 5 is create curiosity. I have learned over the last, 12 years that these are some of the best curiosity-piquing phrases. Things like, this is one of the single greatest health science breakthroughs that we will see in our lifetime. This is actually my favorite. This is one I started saying about 12 months ago, maybe 18 months ago. You know, for many people, this is the missing link to better health and vitality. For 20 years, science said this technology was impossible. This is a technology that is 10 to 15 years ahead of its time. Some experts, some health experts, some medical experts are saying this may be as big as the discovery of DNA and penicillin. Okay, so these are simple, what I call peak interest, peak curiosity phrases. And then we say, look, does that sound like something you might like to know more about? So let me kind of bring this together. Let me go back to a prospecting question. Okay. Hey, Glenn, there's been a massive breakthrough in health and wellness. This is perhaps one of the biggest breakthroughs that we will see in our lifetime. In fact, for many people, this is the missing link to better health and vitality. Hey, does that sound like something you might like to know more about? Okay, so some simple statements, some curiosity building statements, and then this very important question: does this sound like something you might like to know more about? And they're probably going to say, well, what is it? Well, you know what? There are medical experts around the world that are saying this could be as big as the discovery of DNA or penicillin. This is a technology that's 10 to 15 years ahead of its time. In fact, for 2 decades, science said it was impossible. It could not be done. But man, if you'd like to know more, I'd love to get you some information. Okay, so I just use these peak interest phrases, and you kind of mix and match. It's like a wardrobe. You're mixing and matching just based on the conversation. And you know, sometimes people say very nice things about my ability to communicate the ASEA message. Guys, if you actually listen, I just learned some of these basic phrases and I spin them around in different orders. Okay, it sounds like a different presentation. And you can put them into your prospecting questions on the front end, or when they say, well, what is it? And you want to give them a little bit more, these little peak interest phrases. So these are the 5 peak interest phrases that I'm currently using the most. Okay. And when somebody finally keeps saying, well, what is it? What is it? Say, listen, I couldn't do it justice. I couldn't really explain to you to just how huge this really is, but I can send you a short 7-minute video. If I did that, would you take a look at it? And you got to stand your ground, guys. Okay, you got to stand your ground. You want to let the tools do the talking. What about business curiosity phrases? So here's some of my favorite business curiosity phrases. Okay, this is a new category of science. It's heavily patented, no competition. It's high impact. It gets results. Virtually nobody knows about it. And yet it's creating significant residual income for the right people. Okay, so these are just simple phrases that I use to express the business side of ASEA. And you want to get these phrases down cold so you can deliver them hot. That's a famous Trish Schwenkler saying, get it down cold so you can deliver it hot. And so anytime somebody's talking to me, I can pop these out anytime. Anytime I want to give a very quick, teaser on the opportunity. Listen, it's been a massive breakthrough in health. I might use some of the other phrases. For many people, it's the missing link to better health and vitality. Another phrase I didn't put in there that I like is any challenge you can think of, we just see astonishing results. That's another one I love. And you know what? This technology is heavily patented. No competition, no copycats. And yet virtually nobody knows about it. And that's opening up huge, huge financial opportunity for the right people. And so you can see how my language in ASEA in prospecting is really just mastering 10 phrases, maybe add another 11 or 12. How hard would it be to learn some of these phrases? Now, I'll tell you guys, way too often, people use talent or perceived talent as an excuse for them not getting good at something. Okay. Oh, Alan's really good at communicating the message. He's talented. Well, I've heard too many people use that as an excuse for them not to get good at it. Guys, let me just tell you something. Talent's nothing to do with it. I practice. When I first joined ASEA, I had a beautiful golden retriever called Katie. And I practiced on Katie. I used to take Katie for a walk around a lake by the apartment where I was living in Denver, Colorado. And while she would eat goose poo, I would present to her this opportunity, and I would practice different phrases to my dog, and I would practice it. I mean, guys, it's not talent. There are actually very, very few talented people in the world, but there are lots of people that work hard at their craft. And I'm going to encourage you, stop using other person's perceived talent as an excuse for you not to get good at something. It's not about talent. They're just maybe working a little harder than you. Okay. Now, if that's a little blunt, I don't apologize. We've got to get out of this idea that some people are just naturally good at something. That is very rarely the case. It is very rarely the case. The people that you think are naturally good have just worked hard at their skill. Okay. So look, if you can memorize the Lord's Prayer, or you can memorize your national anthem, you can memorize some of these simple phrases and start raising your game from amateur to professional. I'm really passionate about this. I'm really, really passionate about this. It's not difficult, but for some reason, people just don't understand this is what they need to do. Okay, let's move on. Tip 6. Where am I? Halfway through with about 15 minutes to go. We can do it. Tip 6. Stories sell. Stories sell. Facts tell, but stories sell. You want to get really, really good at telling stories. Now, you want to get good at telling your own story. And if you don't have a story, get good at telling other people's story. I am the poster child for not having an amazing ASEA experience. Now, I've had all of the little things, the cuts, bumps, bruises, Renew 28. I've had those little things with our gel, but I don't have a health challenge that was fixed. I feel great and I want to stay feeling great. Mine's, I take it because I'm 51 and I want to feel as good and be as healthy at 61 and at 71 and at 81. And I want my cells to keep talking. So mine's kind of a prevention story. I'm the guy, it's the oil change. Why do you get your oil changed? Well, because you want your car to remain in good health. It doesn't mean there's anything wrong with it. So I'm kind of the oil change story. But you want to get good at telling other people's story then if you don't have one. And then I encourage you to get really good at 5 stories. Again, this is what I'm talking about, raising your game and not just going, oh, well, they're really good at it and I'm not. No, just work harder at your craft. Become good at it. And so learn 5 stories. Get them, again, done cold so you can deliver them hot. One of my favorite stories is my friend Pat Gillis. Pat was standing in front of her refrigerator. She couldn't remember why she was there. And both of her parents had died at an early age with a memory challenge. She couldn't remember why she was there. And she'd get in her car and go places. She couldn't remember where she was going. And then she'd go somewhere, not remember how to get back again. She felt herself fading away. And then I introduced her to ASEA. And within 4 months, Pat has her memory back. She's back. And since then, she's now written 4 books on her memoirs. I love sharing Pat's story. I can share other people's stories, okay? And so again, but it takes practice. It takes practice to get these stories down. Renew 28 before and after pictures. Wonderful, wonderful way to share the story. Now, of course, ASEA is not a treatment or cure for any disease or medical condition. Never make medical claims. When you're telling stories, guys, do not mention disease names. Okay, let me give you a formula. Here's my testimonial formula. Goes like this. Create a before and after snapshot. Time, describe, and impact. And then you're going to go across the way and time, describe, and impact. And you're going to link the two with who shared it with you. Okay. Let me tell you my wife's story, for example. For 10 months after the birth of my first daughter, my wife had tremendous discomfort in her lower back and hips. Now, I could give it a name, but I'm not. I'm describing it. She had tremendous discomfort in her lower back and hips. And it was really challenging for her to be the mother that she wanted to be. Lifting the baby out of the bathwater was really painful. Pushing the buggy was caused her incredible discomfort. And it was a really tough first months. That's how it impacted her life. Now, in this case, I introduced her to ASEA. But this bridge is really important because when you say, and then my neighbor introduced me to ASEA, or then my pastor at church introduced me to ASEA, and then somebody I hadn't talked to in 20 years reached out to me on Facebook and told me about this technology, what you're doing is you're validating network marketing. You're validating word of mouth marketing, okay? And so you're validating what you're doing in this instant. And then you go through again, time, describe, and impact. You want to create a before and after mirror. You know, the weight loss guys, we got the big guy holding out in his big guy pants. And then after you've got the skinnier guy still holding out the big guy pants, but you could put 3 of them in there. Okay, you want to create this really clear visual of the before and after. And so it's time, describe, and impact. So my wife, for 10 months after the birth of my first daughter, my wife had tremendous discomfort in her lower back and hips. And just the simplest tasks of being a mother were really, really difficult for her. Just pushing the buggy, lifting the baby out of the bath. And it was a real struggle. It wasn't what she thought motherhood was going to be like. And then I introduced her to this technology. And I kid you not, after 24 hours, my wife, 24 hours in ASEA, my wife woke up for the first time since the birth with 0 discomfort. 0 discomfort. And the next day, she's in the gym working out again. And finally, she's running with the buggy. She's loving being a mother. And it just allowed her to be the mother she wanted to be. Super simple structure. 90+% of testimonials can fit into this structure. There's always a few weird ones, but I'm telling you, about 90% of them can fit into this structure. So get good at it. Okay. Now, when we're telling stories, again, stories are a way to pique interest in the prospecting phase. So we prospect with a question, we use some curiosity phrases, and we might say, hey, let me tell you what this technology did for me. Hey, let me tell you about my friend Pat. Hey, let me tell you my wife's story. And these are really great ways to build curiosity. And you want to, again, get these down to like little 60-second snippets. I can tell Pat's story in 60 seconds. I can tell my wife's story in 60 seconds. I can tell my dad's story in 60 seconds. In 1.5 minutes, I can deliver 3 powerful stories where I've got people going, yeah, you know what? I want to know about this. I'll watch your video. It's a skill, guys, but it takes practice if you want to become a professional prospector. And remember my first slide on this, prospecting is the $1 million skill. Why would you not want to get good at it? So, tip number 7 is you've got to feel it. It's not what you say, it's how you feel about what you say. It's not the words that you say, but it's the song that you sing. We're not robots. I'm not a big fan of scripts. Now, some of these phrases can help you. Tyler Norton taught me that scripts are like scales. And if you think of Jimi Hendrix and Eric Clapton playing the guitar, they sound very different, but they probably started with scales. So think of these phrases and things like little scales that you can start with, but you start to develop your own song as you get more and more confident. And it's your belief, your conviction, your enthusiasm that are going to be much more important than the words that you say. We get way too caught up in the exact words. And instead, it should be your enthusiasm. It should be your heart. It's the song. That's what people are going to connect to. It's what Tyler says. Stop trying to convince people. Just be convicted, because when you're convicted, your energy is going to come through to people. Okay. Tip number 8, prospecting is not a presentation. Okay, your goal is to promote a tool. So your goal in this whole front end is to sift and sort. Do you have somebody in front of you that's going to resonate with your message of health or financial opportunity? And then you're going to help build interest, peak interest phrases, maybe tell a few stories, but the goal is to send them to a tool. The goal is to send them to a presentation. It is never to give them a presentation, because this business has to be built on a duplicatable system. And the very first training that you give somebody is you're prospecting them. It's before they get into the business. You have trained your new person before they join you, because they're going to look back at how they came into the business. They're going to look back at how they're exposed to the business, and they're going to think they need to do the same. Okay, so make sure what you do is duplicatable. And so your goal is to use the tools. Your goal is to be the messenger, but not the message. And this is the only industry in the world where you can be a multi-millionaire and not be the expert. You hope the dentist is the expert. You hope the pilot is the expert. It would be nice if the chef's the expert, but you don't have to be the expert. Okay, you can simply be the messenger. And what happens when you take people through a very simple process where they don't have to be the expert, they will say the four most powerful words you will ever hear in this business: I can do this. You know what? I think I can do this, because you kept it so super simple. I'm going, yeah, I can copy you. I can do this. Okay. Tip number 9, never prejudge. You know, sometimes the people you think will, won't. And the ones you think won't, will. And this business it's a multi-dimensional business. It's multi-level marketing. It's multi-dimensional. It's not just about the people who you know. It's also the people who they know and who they know and who they know. Okay. And so here's you, and you talk to me. Okay. And I talk to my brother, Brian, who talks to the next door neighbor, Kathy, who talks to a friend at work, David, whose aunt is Elizabeth. And Elizabeth is your ringer. Elizabeth is your leader. Elizabeth is your go-getter. Elizabeth is your red apple. Elizabeth is setting the world on fire. Now, do you want Elizabeth in your business? Absolutely. You absolutely do. Okay. In our business, we get paid to infinite depth in the binary compensation plan. You absolutely want Elizabeth in your business. And so here's the thing, though. If you prejudged me, or I prejudged Brian, and Brian prejudged Kathy, and Kathy prejudged David, Elizabeth would not be in your organization. And so it's really important, guys, to remember every dud knows a stud. Okay? You're not just prospecting the people that you know, but who do they know? And who do they know? And who do they know? You got to start thinking multi-dimensional in this business. And so your job, again, to go back to the flight attendant, is simply ask. Don't think if they'd be good. Don't think if they'd be bad. Just ask. Number 10, ask for referrals. If somebody says, no, I'm not interested in that, ask this simple question. Well, do you know anyone who might be interested? A very simple question, okay? Now, I've got a taxi picture up here. I was given this presentation in Malaysia, and these are Malaysian taxis, so that's why it's up here. But, you know, simple question. You know, Trish Schwenkler, and I forgive me if I butcher her story, but it's a very powerful story of how she made her first million in network marketing. This was before ASEA. This was in her first network marketing company. And she was convicted to talk to 2 people a day. That was her mantra. 2 a day brings freedom my way. And so she was traveling, and she was I think she was coming back from an airport, and she was in a taxi. And she realized, hey, I haven't done my 2 today. And I will tell you, Trish is an absolute master of discipline and consistency. Perhaps a secret as to why she's the #1 income earner, a secret we could all learn from. But she realized, you know what, I haven't done my 2 today. I'm gonna talk to the taxi driver. And so she perked up a conversation, imagine she's in ASEA talking about some of these questions, peak interest phrases. And he said, no, I'm not interested. So she said, well, do you know anyone that might be interested? And this taxi driver said, yeah, you know what? My sister might be into that kind of thing. And so Trish got the number, followed up, called the sister. I believe it took 4 or 6 months before the sister finally had time to look at it. And when she did, she says, yes, let's do that. And the sister of that cab driver ended up being one of the fastest growing associates in that company that put Trish on the $1 million map. See, one of the things you're going to learn in this business, the things that we do are easy to do, but they're easy not to do. Prospecting is easy to do, but it's super easy not to do. It's easy to say, well, hey, would you know anyone that might be interested? But it's really easy not to say that. But you have to understand, guys, there is no magic pixie dust. It's simplicity repeated over and over and over and over again. Tip number 11 is this: know your number. Now, I've kind of hinted at this, okay? For Trish, her number was 2. 2 a day brings freedom my way. 2 a day paves the way. And that was her mantra. In her first company, it was her mantra here as well. Now, often Trish did more than 2 a day, but this was her baseline consistency. The old story of the pennies in the pocket. I got to move the 2 out of one side into the other side, or my job's not done today. I have not done my baseline consistency. And I'll tell you, I was attending a training in Ireland with the number one earner in a company way back in the 90s. And all he did was walk up to a whiteboard, draw a square around it, put a question mark, and that was it. That was his training. He says, this is the most important training I can give you. You got to know your number. Now, for you, it might be 1. Okay, it could be 1 person a day. That's your baseline consistency. If you're here and you've got some hunger, you got some dreams, you got some goals in this business, then keep to your number. A commitment is a promise that you make to yourself. Know your number, okay? And I'll tell you, consistency is what transforms average into excellence. It's what transformed a blonde housewife from Boise, Idaho, with a PhD, a public high school diploma, with no business experience, into the number 1 income earner in ASEA. Consistency is what transforms average into excellence. Tip number 12, our last tip, is success loves speed. Now, although consistency is this baseline, it's kind of like this constant background noise in our business, there are times for bursts of activity. Simple example, if the plane just taxis along the runway or it never picks up speed, it's just going to always taxi along the runway. I mean, there comes a point where you've got to just put your foot in on the pedal. You've got to, turn up the throttles, let the engines burn more fuel, pick up the speed till we get some liftoff. Okay. And so it's really good to punctuate this consistency with a blitz, a 30-day blitz, a 60-day blitz, a 90-day blitz. People have different opinions over the length of that blitz, but it's just like stepping up the gear, making the engines roar, picking up the speed, getting liftoff. Now, I learned this lesson with my daughter, teaching her how to ride her bike. She couldn't ride her bike. Why? Because she didn't have enough speed. Have you ever tried to ride a bike really, really, really slowly? It's incredibly unstable. Okay. The only way you make it stable is you start picking up speed. So I had to take her up to the top of a hill and then let her go. And it was like, no, Daddy, no. But guess what? She got speed, she got stability, and she rode her bike. And ever since then, she's ridden her bike. That was it, solved. Okay. So yes, consistency creates this background hum in our business. Should always be there. But I'm telling you, if you can punctuate your prospecting, punctuate talking to more people in less time, what it does is it builds momentum and intensity in your business. What you're doing is you're compressing more effort into less time, and it has a magical effect. So I'm a big believer in punctuating the consistency with blitzes. Do a prospecting blitz. So here's a quick summary, guys. Tip number 1, it is a numbers game. Some in, some out, lots in, lots out, none in, none out. Sift and sort. Prospecting is sifting and sorting. Looking for people who want what you have. It's not convincing and selling people that they need what you have. Practice compassionate indifference. As Tyler said, care less, but don't be careless. Don't get caught up in people's potential. Become emotionally detached from outcomes and stay engaged in the process of asking. Ask questions. Sift and sort by asking questions. Find people who resonate with what you have to offer. Create curiosity. Practice these phrases, or find other phrases that create curiosity, but practice them. Become a professional. Learn to tell stories, your story, the other people's stories. Follow a simple formula, package it, and always keep it compliant. Number 7, feel it. It's not what you say, it's how you feel about what you say. It's not the song that you sing, it's not the words that you say, it's the beautiful song that you get to sing. And remember, your goal is never to be the expert. Always be driving your conversation and your presentation to a tool. Let the tools do the work for you. Tools are duplicatable, whereas people and personalities are not. And your new prospect is looking at you learning how to do the business, whether they know it or not, and you want them to say the 4 magic words, I can do this. Never prejudge. Every dud knows a stud, and you never want to prejudge up or prejudge down. Just keep talking. Just keep asking. Ask for referrals. Hey, do you know anyone that might be interested? You know what? You might get 9 no's out of 10, but that one yes, hey, you might want to talk to this person. You never know who that person might be. Number 11, know your number. Okay, is it 1? Is it 2? Is it 3? Is it 4? Whatever your baseline consistency number is, that is the commitment you make to yourself. That is the promise that you make to yourself every single day to build your legacy, your future, your dream. And then number 12, success loves speed. Keep that hum of consistency, but occasionally punctuate it with more intensity, more effort, in less time. Create a blitz, because success loves speed. So listen, thank you so very, very much for your time and attention here and listening to this presentation. Remember, prospecting is the $1 million skill.